Good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse Armendariz. I am the president of Inland Valley Association of Realtors, and I want to thank all of you for coming out today and participating in our Zoom meeting. I'd like to hand it over to our CEO, Mark Dowling. Mark, go ahead.
Thank you, Jesse, and good morning, everybody. It's an honor to be here today and have the opportunity to introduce the mayor of Riverside. Before I get into her formal introduction, let me just kind of do a quick overview of the agenda for today. The mayor will be introduced by me in just a minute here. She'll give a formal presentation. It'll be a PowerPoint. I have a copy of that PowerPoint I'll make available to anybody who's interested. It'll be on IVAR's website. Additionally, after she gives her presentation, she has volunteered to swear in the IVAR board of directors. Normally we have an installation meeting in which that happens, but obviously with COVID, well, figure it out. We haven't done it in a formal meeting. So we'll be doing that today via Zoom and the mayor's cooperation. After that, we'll actually have a question and answer period, and she'll be able to answer some questions from you folks. I will preface it and say this. She's a guest here today, and let's have a certain level of sensitivity to where she's coming from as a new mayor in the city of Riverside. If you live in the city and have some sort of personal problems with maybe a neighbor with a barking dog or someone who leaves their trash cans out too long, let's not bring that into today's meeting. And let's try to keep the conversation a little on the higher end issues that are dealing with our industry and with our community. And with that, I will now formally introduce the mayor. Mayor Patricia Lock Dawson is Riverside native and small business owner, and she was elected as Riverside's 18th mayor just last November of 2020. Her election was a historic election and makes her the first UC Riverside graduate and second woman elected to the city of Riverside in its 150-year history. She comes to the mayor's office with an extensive record of service to Riverside. She has previously served at every level of government and most recently was elected a trustee for 9 years in the Riverside Unified School District Board of Education. As a principal owner of PLD Consulting Services, Mayor Lock Dawson has been instrumental in passing legislation to secure tens of millions of dollars in state and federal funds for regional conservation, habitat, and infrastructure project. And she is well known across the state as a champion of the Santa Ana River. She and her husband, Scott, have 3 children. And with that, I will formally turn over the microphone to you, Mayor. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. It's so nice to see all your beautiful faces on here. And I really appreciate the opportunity to work with you and the opportunity to speak today. So but, you know, first I do want to introduce, I have a couple staff members on with me. So I just wanted to introduce them very quickly. I've got Teresa Rosales up there. She's my chief of staff. And I have Jake Orta, my new assistant that he came on just recently from Cal State San Bernardino's president's office. And then we also have Nathan Freeman, who's here, not on my staff. He's on loan to me today from our economic development department. So he's going to be helping me give you information because he's got more specific information that I think I can share. So if that's all right with you, I'll have Nathan take a few slides. So as Mark said, I'm a native Riversider. I'm a scientist by trade, small business owner. You know, Riverside's my home and the place that I chose to build my life here with my family and raise my kids. And that's really one of the driving forces of why I ran for mayor. You know, it was always about ensuring that people like my kids, like your kids, like our grandchildren, don't feel the need to leave the city for opportunities elsewhere. Instead, I want Riversiders to feel they have opportunities here and that those opportunities are limitless and they can pursue and be whatever they want to be here. Mark did mention a little bit about my bio. I was on the planning commission at the city of Riverside for 5 years. My last as chair, and was the only woman on the planning commission, which was really fun. I had a good time there. It gives me really a unique experience and makes me acutely aware of the needs of our city and also your industry needs as well. And the importance of supporting development while preserving Riverside's character. So I know many find the state laws and regulations tricky to navigate, but our region is really fortunate to have organizations like IVAR have a presence in our city. You all play a key role in making sure realtors are apprised of existing and forthcoming laws and regulations, so you're all better prepared for success. And in fact, just yesterday, I asked Teresa something about some legislation that related to housing. And I said, I'm sure IVAR has something on their platform or their website, so I could go look at it. So I've been fortunate to be able to have access to that over time. So, as mayor, I consider myself to be the city's marketer in chief. And I love Riverside, but there's still a lot of work to do if we want our city to reach our full potential. So I'm going to move into our presentation now with our first slide and talk a little bit about my priorities. So economic development and job growth is really my biggest push, I would say, is my number one priority. There was an article in the paper today about my first 100 days, and the byline was, Santa Ana River is the focus of the mayor's first 100 days. And I about screamed. I've been working on the Santa Ana River for 20 years, but that is not my primary focus in this job. My focus is really on economic development and job growth, specifically focused on clean and green tech. I want, we have CARB, the California Air Resources Board, has come into the city. And so I think this is going to put us on the map as an international center for clean and green tech. So I'm just certain that this sector is going to bring in high quality jobs for Riverside's qualified local workforce, because I truly believe people should live where they work. I don't like people driving out of our area. So I'm working with partners around the city and the region to identify Riverside's competitive advantages in order to further opportunities for investment in our city's innovation district. Next slide, please. So another priority of mine is our quality of life. And there's a lot of things that impact our quality of life here in Riverside. As mayor, I want to continue my decades-long pledge to work on the Santa Ana River and put the river back in Riverside. That's just one aspect of what I want to do. I want to make it a destination for recreation. So that will also put us on the map as a regional and state amenity. I want to work with, and I have a regional coalition established to reduce fire danger and address homelessness in the river bottom, trying to improve access to mental health services and emergency shelter programs and job training. This regional effort is really going to ensure that all parties coordinate to address homelessness across boundaries. So that's going to be a big push. I've already got staff working on that. We also have a need for some more high quality entertainment. I'm really pushing on that. And we're doing that from our reimagined downtown, really. We have, for any of you that watched my State of the City, we've got, our downtown is really booming with all sorts of new amenities. In fact, today I'm filming the groundbreaking for the new Cheech Museum. So I'll be doing that a little bit later today. So we need, if we want to keep our young people here, if we want to keep our families here, we really need to have more opportunities for people to be able to, entertain themselves. So, okay, next slide. Let's talk about education. So this is also, coming out of the school district, I can't leave my, my mortarboard behind. Ha, get that? Mortarboard, okay. I can't leave that, I can't take that hat off. I have to keep that on. And I really am eager to develop stronger bonds between the city and and our local higher education institutions, so we can keep our graduates here following the completion of their education. And I want to ensure that they have opportunities, the types of jobs that are in the 21st century. And, Riverside is moving and we're a big city now. We have a lot of things to offer. So I want to make sure we've got not only the opportunities for our workforce, but that our workforce is trained to meet the needs of employers. So really working on that. All right, next slide, please. Also, one of our big challenges now is our finances in the city of Riverside, as is a concern of cities across the state and across the country for that matter. We've got a very large pension obligation. I'm pleased that we're chipping away at that, and we've had some help from the market, which has been really good. But we also need to look at how we can trim our costs going forward, because it's not just the pension obligations, right? It's a lot of other services that we need to make sure are commensurate with the quality of life that people expect here in Riverside. So we have instituted a new budgeting process. It's our priority-based budgeting. And this is going to involve our community in helping us identify what are the priorities for funding. I know this sounds like a really obvious thing to do. You do this in your household, but the city of Riverside has not engaged in priority-based budgeting in the past. The school district has, and that's why I'm excited to use this at the city. Instead of when you want to make a cut, making an across-the-board cut that everybody shares evenly, priority-based budgeting allows each department working with the community to figure out what's an essential service that needs to stay and what can take a haircut for just a little while. So that's really important to me. But we're not going to be able to cut our way out of any kind of fiscal crisis. We're going to have to grow our way out of it. So I'm looking, going back to the first slide, at economic opportunities and growth that will generate new sources of revenue for the city. All right, next slide. And this is very important to me too, our social capital here in Riverside. If you talk to anybody in the city of Riverside, they will tell you that our strongest, most unique thing here in the city is that we have a very caring, connected community. And they're very committed as well. They want to help. They want to do the right thing. So I want to make sure that our community is at the table when we're making decisions and big decisions. So I'm going to make sure that we reach out to groups that may not be traditionally represented. And I want to make us all feel that we're Riversiders. I think that shared identity makes us stronger, makes us more trusting of each other, and will allow us to propel forward and be even more effective as we chip away at some intractable problems, but also as we invite new opportunities. Next slide, please. Okay, so I know you were all interested in this. So you probably know the city of Riverside is going through our housing element update. This is something we have to do, well, let's see, I think it's every 6 years, I think, that we do with our regional housing needs allocation. And so we have to figure out, what our housing demand is mandated by the state, right? And we need to figure out how we can increase housing production. But we also need to make sure we're doing that by preserving existing affordable housing. So we want to make sure that we facilitate development of housing, but it's for all income levels. And we want to make sure we're promoting fair housing choices. So I'm not sure if any of you attended any of our housing element update meetings, but you probably saw that we are looking to increase our inventory of houses to between 18,000 and 24,000 units. We are so far behind in the city of Riverside. And I will say we were slated to have more, but we argued that we needed a little bit more time, and we needed to make sure we had the land and the ability to develop that number of housing. So in the updates that we're doing, or the housing element update, we're using scenario planning to identify good sites to rezone for housing. Some of you may know about, we've got some old retail zone, adaptive reuse ordinances, things like this. We also need to eliminate constrained areas, like where there's high fire, environmentally sensitive areas. And then we're going to develop a preferred alternative from that. And we are going through CEQA right now. And we're going to have opportunities for additional comments during that CEQA. So it will go to the planning and city council meeting sometime in August or September of this year. So we have a hard deadline of October 2021 to submit it to the state. So next, I'm going to ask Nathan Freeman to talk, because I would really like to have him discuss some things about our economic prosperity of the city and our Riverside's road to recovery. So with that, I want to ask Nathan if you could just step in to discuss some of the next slides.
Happy to. Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, or excuse me, good morning, everybody. As the Mayor mentioned, my name is Nathan Freeman. I am a senior project manager in the city's Community and Economic Development Department. And in that capacity, I oversee and manage the city's economic development and redevelopment programs. So as I mentioned, it is a fantastic opportunity for me and for the team to be here and to interact with you good folks. And there's a few things I wanted to bring up and shed some light on in terms of what the city is doing. Since the onset of COVID-19, and this is something I'm really proud of, the city of Riverside was one of the first cities in the country to organize a business support and recovery team, really as part of our Emergency Operations Center response, really to focus on the specific needs of our business community and how to effectively communicate vital information during the pandemic. And specifically, I'd like to highlight some of our team's past, present, and future efforts to support our local business community. During the last year-ish, specifically, in relation to the pandemic, we set up a 24/7 business resources website. We sent out approximately 100 newsletters to our 27,000 member database. We created a business hotline for folks to call in and get immediate support from myself and my colleagues. And we provided almost $6 million in much needed grant money to approximately 600 businesses in the city of Riverside that were negatively affected by COVID-19. And really for us, as things start to loosen up a little bit, to move from recovery to thrive, staff has identified the following efforts. And really just for the sake of time, I'll highlight a few that are paramount to our economic recovery. First one being the development and implementation of a CARB-related business attraction plan, which will help the city attract large-scale companies that desire to be close to the California Air Resources Board, which is almost finished with construction, and we're looking forward to opening this year. Second, we want to develop and implement a economic prosperity action plan, which will be a follow-up document to the city council approved economic development strategic framework. And lastly, we want to encourage more housing production. It's our opinion that the mere addition of new jobs to Riverside cannot ensure that all residents have equal access to economic opportunities unless there's enough supply of affordable units to house our local workforce. So next slide, please. So apologies, the next slide was supposed to be housing development. I got them mixed up, but we will get to that in a second. Downtown Riverside, as the mayor mentioned, is booming. Before COVID, I had a chance to present to our city council a hotel market study as really the definer for future hotel development. And one of the things our consultant, his name is Jeff Lugosi, he works for CBRE Hotels out of LA, found was that downtown Riverside was one of the hottest hotel markets that he had seen in a long time. And at that point, and again, this is right before COVID, our hotels in downtown were running on average 85% occupancy per night, which is incredible considering that the average hotel occupancy nationwide is around 65%. So obviously that's encouraging for individuals who want to build new hotels in downtown. One of them in particular is what will be the future AC Marriott and Residence Inn Hotel. They will be constructing this project on the former downtown fire station #1 site. They'll also be doing a adaptive reuse of the old fire station and incorporating into the hotel. And I have some images. They're on animation if we could slide through them real quick. Okay, you can see what this is going to look like. So this is going to be a development by the Greens Group of Irvine. If you've been to downtown Riverside and seen the newly constructed Hampton Inn, this is the same developer. It will be a dual branded hotel, AC Marriott, which is Marriott's 5-star boutique brand, 140 rooms, and directly adjacent to that will be the Residence Inn, which will be 100 rooms. And as I mentioned, the thing that I really love about this project, it's going to completely incorporate the former historic downtown fire station #1. And we're looking at potentially transforming that space into either a large restaurant or some type of creative office. Our developer is going through the entitlement process right now. It is actually going to Planning Commission next week for approval. And we're looking at an estimated groundbreaking in 2020. And this project right here represents a $50 million investment. So I think we can, there's a couple more images. Jake, if you could keep scrolling. So this is really a beautiful design. This architect in particular paid close attention to the historic neighborhood in which this new hotel will be parked, specifically the Mission Inn Historic District, and wanted to create a design that would enhance and really elevate the beauty of the surrounding historic buildings and not try to copy them. I think we got one more, Jake. There you go, that's the back of the project. Next slide. So next up, as I mentioned earlier, housing is of utmost importance to myself and my team. As the mayor alluded to, we have a RENA obligation by 2025 to construct about 18,500 housing units, something we take very seriously. To help with that, there are several mixed-use housing projects that are under construction right now that are really adding to the vibrancy, not just of our downtown area, but the city as a whole. So you can see in the top left corner, the Merrill Brownstones, which is currently under construction along Merrill Avenue, directly behind the Riverside Plaza. Once completed, this project will include 108 housing units. And something I really love, the design of this is going to be an East Coast brownstone style with raised front entry. It's going to be a beautiful project. We expect this to be complete in roughly a year. The Mark, which is currently under construction in downtown, directly adjacent to the Fox Theater, the Game Lab, and the Food Lab. Once finished, this is going to be a beautiful mixed-use project with 165 housing units, approximately 22,000 square feet of retail space, and 339 parking spaces. We estimate that the Mark is going to be complete in August of this year. Down in the left-hand corner, Center Point apartment project, which is expected to be complete this month, will add 125 housing units and 233 parking spaces to our downtown. And last, but certainly not least, the Mission Heritage Plaza on University Avenue, directly behind the Fox Theater. This is in the process of breaking ground and will feature, once complete, 71 completely affordable units for families and veterans, community meeting space, and new office space for the Fair Housing Council of Riverside County. Lastly, the city has also updated our Build Riverside website to capture the various housing initiatives and provide a one-stop location for both residents and the development community. So next slide, please. Something that very near and dear to my heart, the Innovation District. And the mayor alluded to it a little bit. In December of 2017, the then City Council approved the concept of creating innovation districts across the city as a way to attract new investment, retain local talent, and create jobs. And when I say create jobs, I mean specifically white-collar jobs, with the idea that this would diversify Riverside's economy, and that a more diverse and innovative economy will provide a buffer from future economic downturns. Specifically, innovation efforts citywide would concentrate on attracting and developing clean and green tech businesses that have a focus on clean air, alternative and adaptive transportation, water and sustainable technologies, really to leverage the existing drivers at UCR and the new CARB campus. I'm happy to report that earlier last year and immediately before the COVID pandemic, the City Council approved a very progressive vision for the Innovation District. And Jake, I think I've got an animation there if you click on it. And this is the result of that visioning process and what City Council approved. What I'd like to highlight, if we can go back just one more, Jake. Part of this, and one of the things I'm really excited about, and it goes back to housing and RENA, the part of this vision is to transform the old industrial area off of 3rd Street and Kansas into a high density and transit oriented multifamily development. If you're familiar with the area, the Metrolink station is very close. And again, we think this could be an excellent opportunity for us to redevelop, adaptively reuse this area for that purpose. And to make this a reality, staff contracted with a gentleman by Howard Blackson. He helped us develop the vision, really to develop the land use framework to achieve that goal specifically for the older industrial area. And Howard's work is nearly complete and is anticipated to be presented to the Economic Development Committee this May. And lastly, for me, something that I'm really pumped about is our North Side area. Just late last year, the City Council approved the North Side specific plan, and included in that plan are 3 city-owned properties: the former Riverside Golf Course, the Ab Brown Soccer Complex, and the Pellissier Ranch, which is mostly in the city of Colton. Just last month, on March 18th specifically, the Economic Development Committee approved the preparation and issuance of a request for proposals seeking a master developer for the city-owned portions of the North Side area. Again, the Riverside Golf Club, Ab Brown, and the Pellissier Ranch. And all 3 of those city-owned properties are approximately 412 acres. And we recognize these properties are an amazing opportunity to define the future of the North Side neighborhood and to promote investment on city-owned properties. So the vision as part of the master developer process is the construction of residential, commercial, employment and agriculture being linked together through safe streets, connected trails, green belts, and bicycle corridors, which will really result in a unique community, not just in Riverside, but in Colton and parts of the county of Riverside as well. So that concludes my update. I'm happy to stick around afterwards to answer any questions you may have. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, IVAR, for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Nathan. I knew he would have some information that would be interesting to everybody. So I appreciate you coming along today, Nathan, being such a good sport. I think it's back to me. And I think, Mark, we've got a couple things, right? I know we have to do our swearing in, but I also think we would have time for questions. So I'm going to ask you would like to.
Why don't we do this, Mayor? We'll do the swearing in now, and I believe you have the names of everybody there with you. And then after that, you can take some Q&A. If you do have questions, please use the chat function within Zoom. You can type up your question. We will field those and try to get those to the mayor and get her responses and or her staff responses. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Okay, well, I will turn it over to you. And if you'd like, you can start the recognition and swearing in of the directors.
Terrific. Thank you so much. I feel very honored to be able to do this today, so appreciate your allowing me to participate in this. I want to start by introducing your new officers for 2021. And they are Jesse Armendariz, who's your 2021 president, Kama Burton, who is now your president-elect, Donna O'Donnell, who's your immediate past president, and Yvonne Leonard, treasurer. And for your directors, we have Joe Kusamana, Scott Geiser, I'm sorry, I think it might be Geiser, Mary Brown Edwards, Amado Hernandez, Barbara Mills Dubois, Maria Polito, Michael Stoffel, Doug Shepard, and Jesse Streeter. So now if all of you could raise your right hand, we will do our virtual swearing in. Do you solemnly swear that you will administer the IVAR office to which you have been elected to the best of your ability and judgment in conformity with the laws of California and the bylaws of the Inland Valley Association of Realtors? It's like on a plane. Do I need a verbal yes?
I'm assuming they're all saying I do, so we'll just have to trust them on that.
I do.
You can just nod up and down, nod your heads. Very good.
I do.
All right. That you will, in all your acts, be governed by the principles of honesty, justice, and fair play, while promoting the highest and best purpose of the association and the welfare of its membership. If so, please say I do, and you may lower your hands.
I do. I do.
All right. I do hereby proclaim each of you duly installed into the office to which you have been elected. Congratulations. And everybody, if we could join me in congratulating our new directors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mayor. Okay, I've got a couple questions that have come in. I'm going to start with one that just popped up from Krista Dixon. She's asking, is there any low-income or senior housing projects slated for development?
Yes, and I think Nathan referred to a couple of those. Nathan, do you want to take that specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. So one of the projects that I mentioned is the Mission Heritage Plaza, which is 100% affordable and is intended for low to moderate income families and veterans. That is the only exclusively affordable housing project. All of the other ones under construction in the city, to my knowledge, are market rate, but we are looking at different opportunities to encourage more affordable housing development, not just in downtown, but throughout the city.
Very good. Another question from Claudia Coronado. She asks, is the city of Riverside working with other cities, neighboring cities actually, to help with homeless issues and employment or, warehousing of some sort or care?
Absolutely. We have, and I can let Nathan chime in on some of this too, but we've got several different regional groups that we belong to that I don't think we've made use of just for those specific purposes. We've got WRCOG, we've got SCAG, we've got the Riverside County Transportation Agency. All of those provide us opportunities to interact with colleagues in our region. In the past, it's been the mayor's role mostly to sit on these regional boards. But I felt in order to be more effective as a city, we probably should have some of our city council members on some of these boards and commissions. So this year we've got the mayor. I am not on WRCOG and I am not on the RCTC board. We've Council Member Chuck Conder is on RCTC and Council Member Ronaldo Fierro is on our WRCOG board. So having said that, I think that will enrich the city's experience, but it will also enrich those boards' experiences. I also just recently called for development of a regional task force, and I have been working with the regional task force on the homelessness in the Santa Ana River. So I've been doing that for several months now. So that's just an ongoing issue. So we've actually have a meeting coming up with our state legislature too on that, because it's gotten worse. Let me just put it that way. So it's become a very high priority for me.
And I will say this regarding the homeless issues in the city. We were fortunate enough, IVAR was, to have as a guest speaker the city of Riverside's lead homeless staff person. She gave a presentation. We have that recording and it's on our website. So if you go to our video archive, it's about a 40-minute presentation. She has a lot of great information regarding homeless issues. Okay, next question. Linda Guisti-Para says, Madam Mayor, do you see a decrease in property values due to potential foreclosures and COVID-related issues? Maybe I'll just say this real quickly and then turn it over to you. No one is seeing that right now relative to large foreclosures, and property values, if you haven't been looking very closely, have been skyrocketing for the last 8 or 9 months. So I'm not sure on the finance side, are you seeing anything much differently, Ms. Mayor?
No, absolutely. I think it's exactly what you said, Mark. It's I think it's quite the opposite, actually. I think, well, you can't get your hands on inventory. I'm sure most of the realtors are dealing with this now, but I will say this, though, that I think some of the more, we may be looking at adaptive reuse of some of our commercial and our retail spaces. And I'm going to kind of look at Nathan here and see if he might want to add to that. That was something that I talked with Councilmember Edwards about, but through my housing task force. So, and Mark, which I think you're a part of as well. So I appreciate you participating in that. But Nathan, did you want to talk just make a couple comments about that?
Sorry, apologies. I'm trying to unmute and the computer cooperating. Certainly, as I mentioned, housing affordability and economic development, they're not mutually exclusive. They're tied together. And so, as I mentioned, one affordable housing project, in my opinion, there should be several affordable housing projects. And we're doing everything we can, including talking to our colleagues in other cities throughout the state and through the nation about how do we achieve that goal of making Riverside affordable for everybody. It's hard for me to attract a company knowing that our housing prices are as high as they are. There has to be a balance. So it's something we're very interested in. We're constantly talking to our colleagues in other cities and states about how to address this issue. And I can tell you, talking to friends and counterparts at other cities in California, this is not just a Riverside issue. This is something everybody is struggling with. But, I think collectively, there's an opportunity for us to come up with good, positive solutions. I think as I mentioned earlier, the Mission Heritage Plaza project is a good first start, but there needs to be more of these, and we need to find a way to incentivize affordable housing. Previously, under redevelopment type programs, we were able to do that. But since redevelopment's gotten taken away, we don't have a financial tool, if you will, to incentivize affordable housing. So it's really made us sharpen our pencils and get creative. And we do have some proposals that we're running by the city manager's office and hopefully council soon that will help address the issue.
Very good. There's another question here from the Beachville team asking about basically getting involved in city leadership and serving on commissions or boards from an appointment standpoint or a volunteer standpoint. Teresa Rosales did write specific information in the chat regarding a link, so you can actually click on there to get information. Is there anything you might want to add to that, Mayor?
Yeah, sure. So we have I think 30 plus boards and commissions in the city of Riverside that deal with all sorts of issues. If you are interested in getting involved and it's an area that you are interested in, you can talk to us about it. You can talk to Teresa. I'm sure she'd be happy to. If it's a ward specific seat, I would encourage you to contact your council member for that ward and introduce yourself and express your interest. Just make sure you have the information you need to connect with the right people, and we can help with that.
Very good. I do not see any specific questions popping up here. Are there anything else? Oh, it looks like someone's typing. Are there any other questions for the mayor or before we bring this meeting to a close? I will wait just a few seconds here. Here we go. Joe Cusimano, what is the status of the fair housing processing tenants applications on the emergency rental assistance program? This is a very big deal. Many of IVAR members are involved in property management. Obviously, money is coming through relative to rental assistance programs. Are you familiar with this? And do you know much on this issue?
I am. This is actually, we just got a big tranche of funding from the federal government regarding rental assistance that we, I'm not exactly sure the exact numbers of it, but we are trying to process those as quickly as possible. So, and I believe that, and I'm going to look at Teresa maybe to help me with this because I don't have the specific information. So I have it.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been in touch with our city administration about that particular program, and there has been quite an onslaught of applications from landlords and tenants both. My understanding is that there's a little bit of a backlog because they had a vacancy, I believe, or two in their staff, but I'm assured by city management staff that they are going to be hiring and catching up. So there's an apology from Fair Housing for any delays, but we are all aware of it and doing everything that's possible to make sure that people get contacted as quickly as possible.
Very good, thank you. I guess I'm going to ask a question. Ms. Mayor, so you've been involved in the city for many years, serving in a variety of capacities, planning commission, and so forth. You're now mayor, you've been in the job about 6 months. What is the biggest eye opener for you? What have you learned that's maybe you didn't expect coming into this position?
6 months. Come on, Mark. It's only been 4. And I just passed, not even, I think I just passed
my COVID time. Everything kind of accelerates and is distorted.
I know, right? Isn't it? Some things seem very, very fast and others seem very slow. But I think it's really interesting. I think one of the biggest surprises, I was talking to my staff about this, is just how similar so much of what I'm dealing with as mayor is what I dealt with as a school board member, is what I dealt with on the Board of Behavioral Sciences, is what I dealt with on the Planning Commission. It's serving people, solving people's problems, and making their lives easier and better, and trying to find the resources to do that. And the players change up a little bit. The way you do it changes up a little bit, but it's so similar. I was very surprised, on the first day on the job when I stepped in, I was thinking there was going to be a huge learning curve, and I'm surprised that there hasn't really been one. It's been very quick to get up to speed on things, because as a school board member as well, I've worked so closely with the city. I think the players and just the processes are all very familiar to me. So.
Very good. Very good. Well, I want to congratulate you on your new term in office. I want to thank you for participating today, answering some questions, swearing in our new board for 2021. With that, I think we're done for the meeting. I want to thank everybody for participating today. This particular meeting and the presentation she gave will be available on IVAR's website probably by Friday of this week. If not, you could check back on Monday. It'll be on the front page of our website. So with that, I will be saying goodbye and thank you all again. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. And please know,
thank you.
The mayor's door is open. And I really want you to know that. And my chief of staff is a realtor. So she speaks.
Very good. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mayor.
And a good one.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. I appreciate the opportunity.